Jason, DLT Trading. I am here with the one and only Les George of George Knives. World-class knife maker, Les George.
Yeah, that guy's not here today.
Can I have the 50 bucks? Oh wait, he'll give me the 50 bucks later. So Les, you got a lot of cool stuff going on right now, I think. You've been bringing the heat the last several years, coming out with a lot of new stuff, a lot of really exciting stuff. Stuff, unfortunately, that leaves our site usually in seconds, minutes at the most. Really cool products you've been coming out with. You and I think, have pretty similar tastes in a lot of things.
Yeah.
So I've really liked your designs, liked your products. I think we carry almost every design that you have, with the exception of maybe one that are licensing deals. A lot of guys know you maybe even better for your licensing and collaborations that you've done. You've done it with a lot of big places: ZT, Kershaw, ProTech, Spartan, some big ones with Spartan, Boker, Fox Knives. Did I miss anybody?
I think you got them.
Yeah. So really good designs across a lot of price points. So you can buy one that Les builds in the $400 to $500 price point. Awesome American-made, American-sourced materials, high quality. You come from a small shop, so almost everything there you have your hands on.
Yeah.
You're doing all the final sharpening.
Yeah.
So you've got that option. You also have the option, like I think of the Spartan. I think street price on those about 120 bucks or something.
The folder, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's XHP steel.
XHP, made in Taiwan, so real high quality.
Yeah.
Precision made.
They're very nice.
Very nice knives. So across a nice gamut of price points. Today we wanted to show off a few of your new finishes that will be coming on your knives at DLT as direct from Les. Your website, if people want to purchase direct, is
GeorgeKnives.com.
GeorgeKnives.com. Also on other retailers. Talk about the 4 finishes that we have here.
So for the these are DLC finishes. So this one is the graphite. We talked about it earlier. It's like a light black. It's really hard. You probably can't see it very well in the camera, but it's a dark gray finish. This one has the black on the blade, but they call it chrome. It's not a hard chrome like Armalloy, but it's a DLC chrome finish. It's a lighter matte gray. Then this one is the copper and the black. And then this is the flat. The new vendor's flat dark earth is a little more copper colored than the flat dark earth in the past has been.
They're awesome. All of these I like. This one really is appealing to me. When you look at it here, it almost does look black, but like up against your shirt, you can see it's a very dark gray, real rich, classy color. This color looks basically like uncoated titanium, but it would be more durable, correct? With that finish on there. So a little bit more scratch resistant, correct?
Probably.
Yeah. So you're going to get a little more protection with it, but kind of the classic look, if you will. And then can't go wrong with copper, can't go wrong with bronze. You'll have those with DLC blades as well as the tumbled blades, correct?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And this model is which model now?
The Mark III.
The Mark III. That one is, for me anyway, it surprised me a little bit how well it's done. Like I say, your knives always do very well, but these, when they came in, sold instantly, had people clamoring for more, got a restock, sold instantly, rinse and repeat a few times now. So these have really, really done well. We have your morph finish here. This one, are you just calling that a checkered, or what is that?
I'm calling it double diamond.
Double diamond. Yeah, so double diamond finish, morph finish. You've also got just flat, smooth.
Yeah.
What are your other?
With the fullard kind.
The fullard, that's
the fullard,
right. Yep.
And the, I got a fullard here, matter of fact. The fullard kind like that, and then the sweep kind as well. With the sweeps.
That's right. That's right. That's exactly right.
The design itself has been really cool, because I designed it originally to be made by Kershaw, and they sent it to me, because I don't make all the Kershaw designs myself necessarily, and I had one of their prototypes when they first made it, and I was using it for whatever I was doing with it, and I set it down while I was working on it, working with what I was doing. And I looked over at it and I'm like, I need to make that knife right now. I went inside and made one and I'm like, yeah, it's surprisingly utilitarian.
It really is. And that's why I say it surprised me a little bit, because when you first look at it, it's like, but it really is a very usable utilitarian knife. And we've had a lot of customers that have had that same sentiment with me. I bought it because it looked cool, but I carry it daily.
Well, you
I
can
love
see
it.
I wear the crap out of this one. I mean,
that's exactly right. In addition to this, VECP button lock, right?
Yeah.
Those have been really popular of late.
Yep.
How have those button locks done? Have you sold a few of those?
Yeah, the button locks have gone really well, better than I thought they were going to do. So I've been really happy with that. I wanted to try that for about 12 years. I've had those buttons sitting in a container for about 12 years.
Not a joke. You really did.
I really
did.
Because
I was down at his shop and he showed me a bucket and he's like, yeah, these have been sitting here 10 years. I'm like, you should probably make knives to go around these because this is a really good design. He's like, yeah, I think I will. And you did.
That's a good idea.
And they've sold incredibly well.
Yeah, I've been very happy with those. Some people I've heard had trouble going from muscle memory from the frame lock to the button lock, so they went back to a frame lock. But I mean, and that's a personal kind of preference. I think the button lock as a mechanism is probably better than a frame lock because your finger is never in the path of a moving sharpened blade when you unlock it.
Correct.
So that just functionally is better. And if you've ever handed a frame lock knife to somebody who's not into knives or doesn't know about
Death
knives,
grip, right, on the lock bar.
not just that, but if it's open, they're going to push the pivot.
Oh,
if there's an exposed stop pin, they're going to push that stop pin and try to unlock it. So the button lock is more intuitive to more people.
Yes, okay, I got it.
And it's safer as far as a design mechanism.
Yeah.
Is it better? That's a personal preference, but it's got those things going for it from the get-go.
For me, one of the things that I like is we have some people that, for whatever reason, they just can't get over pushing on that lock bar, and they're like, it doesn't want to close. It's hard to open. It's hard to close. Whereas, like you said, a button lock, it's very intuitive to just push it, and they're fidget toys, right?
Yeah.
I mean, they're super cool from that standpoint too. So, in addition to all the cool stuff that you're doing with George Knives, you also, with our good friend Chad Nichols, you guys co-own Defiant 7 knives.
That's correct.
Now, that's been around for how long?
I think we're at about 9 years.
9 years. But because you guys both lead incredibly busy lives, you're running your George Knives knife company.
Yeah.
Chad's running Nichols Damascus, making the world's best Damascus steel. You kind of let the company, maybe you didn't put as much effort into it as you could have. Or am I misspeaking here?
Very transparently, we underestimated how much work it was going to take to launch another company on top of what we were doing.
From the branding and marketing.
And marketing and getting the word out kind of thing. So we didn't, and because like you said, we were busy doing that other stuff, we really didn't do that work.
Yeah.
So we didn't make that many knives. The knives, I think, were good knives and they sold well. We just didn't make that many. We didn't put that much effort into growing that as a business, which we're trying to correct now.
Yeah. So tell a little bit of the story of why Defiant now is kind of getting some gas poured on the fire. You've got a new generation of guys coming into it, which I think is a pretty cool story. Like you and I were talking before we got on camera here. Most of the people in this room making knives are old guys like you and I, or older, right? Well, old like me anyway. And older than me.
Yeah.
There's the 40, 50-year-old group and there's the 60-year-old group.
Right.
And there aren't a lot of 20 and 30-year-old guys. There's a few in the room, but not a ton. So you guys are not only getting this brand going, but you're also helping another generation come into the industry.
So it's like we live in a very small place. You've seen it.
Yeah, it is.
And there's not a lot to do around there if you don't want to work at the Dollar General or the gas station there.
So I bet it's like our area, if you want a good job, you end up moving away from family, right?
Or driving 45 minutes a day in one way. And there's a lot of kids that live right there around us, and we've known some of them for a long time. I have, and I hired one of them to work for me, and it went really well. He's been a really great asset to my business and just to doing things. Helped me get a lot more knives out by bending clips and changing tools in the machine and doing little things. And him and two of his friends went to machinist school. I'm like, well, they're into this. This is going to work out. One of them is Chad Nichols' son. The other one's name is Caleb. So you got Caleb, Cole, and Parker, and they're getting ready to graduate school. And Chad and I are like, why don't we use them before somebody else gets them and ramp up in Defiant 7? And that way these kids can have jobs and make a living without having to leave here or to drive, an hour and a half every day both ways to work. And we can all have a good time and do this thing together and build something nicer.
Increase throughput, create American jobs, create more American-made knives.
Right.
Rather than outsourcing overseas, you're making them here, creating jobs, getting more quality knives in your customers' hands, my customers' hands. So everybody wins, right? I mean, it's a win-win. But I wanted to talk a little bit about that because I've been down to your shop. I know what you and Chad have going on and the quality that Defiant 7 is. Beyond any shadow of a doubt, we 100% stand behind it. But for the folks here at the show as well as the viewers back home, I wanted to kind of bring people up to speed that Defiant 7 and George Knives, they're the same quality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's not like there's a difference.
Yeah, we're different companies. We're different people.
Making different products with maybe a different slant on.
Yeah, different kinds of products. But I'm right there doing all of it. I sharpen Defiant knives and the George knives. So if they suck, it's my fault. But I'm doing right now. I'm doing all the CAD work. I'm designing everything. I'm doing all the programming of the machines. I'm supervising the work. The kids are doing great, but they don't have 30 years of experience doing anything because they're not even 30 years old.
So you're there doing the hard tasks, the technical stuff as they learn the industry and learn all the nuances. Another large manufacturer in this room told me one time, that he's taken guys from aerospace and hired them to work in his knife machine shop. And they at times are like, this is harder than aerospace because it isn't just about making parts and tolerances, but it's about the way that the parts interact and galling and all the weird stuff with knives that it takes years and years to learn.
Right.
So they've got you in the room with all that knowledge, with that experience to transfer the knowledge so they can then do it.
People like to complain about the new generation. I mean, and that's been ever since even when we were kids. The old guys complained about us.
Yeah.
The old guys complained about them before. So everyone always says the new generations are messed up, they're weak, or they're lazy, or they're whatever, this and that. If they are messed up, whose fault is that?
It's ours.
So we decided to, at least for a couple of them, we're going to grow our own productive human beings. So,
and grow your own talent to make some knives.
So we're going to harness their desire to work because they do want to work. Mm-hmm. These kids do want to work. So we're going to get a hold of that. We're going to work them. We're going to make fun of them. We're going to toughen them up, and we're going to make them into full-grown adults.
So somehow I can believe that you are going to give them a hard time.
My job is to maintain a hostile work environment in the shop, and I'm pretty good at it.
I can believe it. Talk a little bit about this knife.
So this is the Defiant 7 Valmara. It's an automatic. It's a plunger lock automatic. It's with the aluminum handles. This version has a CPM 154 blade, titanium clip, stainless hardware. It opens with some authority. It opens with some pretty good authority.
You better hang on to it.
The blade's 150 thousandths thick. It's 3 1/4 inches long. It's hard anodized aluminum handles. I really like it. I think Valmara is a really cool name. It's named after an Italian bounty fragmentation anti-personnel landmine, which is pretty common stuff, really. And I think it's a cool name for an automatic. I think the knife is really cool. I've been carrying one myself. I've been carrying this one for the last 3 weeks. And we brought a bunch of them to the show. They've been very well received. Everyone likes them. I think it's a great knife. And
100% U.S. made.
Yeah,
made in the Defiant shop.
Yep, made in Mississippi.
U.S. made steel.
Yep.
From our friends at Crucible that were just here.
That's right.
Rolled by Niagara.
That's right.
American.
That's right.
Tell us about the price point, because I'll be honest with you, I was a little surprised how attractively these were priced when you factor in everything American made, small batch, small manufacturer. Price point on these?
$285.
$285. CPM 154, so a CPM powder metallurgical super steel, hard anodized body, button lock automatic.
Yeah, and a lot of this hardware is my hardware for my knives, because we haven't developed its own our own hardware for Defiant yet. So these are all the buttons and the screws are the same as in my knives.
And these are sharpened by you.
Yeah, I
so
sharpened
super
these.
sharp.
Fair to middling. The threads there's a thread in the aluminum. It's got stainless spacers inside there.
Okay, so to prevent it from stripping out.
Yeah, you're not going to strip it out most likely. You twist a screw off before you strip it out. And then you could just press that thing out and put a new one in there.
Awesome.
It'd be very
small touch, but if people are messing with their knives, it is a point or a problem that can happen, right?
We never recommend taking apart knives for recreational purposes. But we understand sometimes things happen.
All you knife makers say that. You don't want anybody taking it apart.
Where's
the fun in that?
It's not that we don't want people to take it apart. We don't want them to not be able to put it back together.
They don't want to. You don't want the Ziploc bag, right?
The Ziploc bag of shame.
Yes.
I mean, we'll help you with it, obviously. We want to help you, but we'd rather you didn't go down that path for all our sakes.
Sadly, I think back a number of years ago, I had a Ziploc bag. I never sent it back to the manufacturer. This was pre me being in DLT.
Yeah.
But I decided to play doctor with it and then couldn't figure out how to get it back together. So I put it in a Ziploc bag. I was always going to put it back together, but I think ultimately it just kind of went away. So unless you have to, don't take them apart.
We know things happen, and we'll help you, but
sometimes parts can go flying too when you do it.
Because there's 2 springs in here that are both under pressure.
Talk about the fixed blade that you have there, Les.
So this is the M320. It's designed after the M3 from World War II that the Army issued. This one has a Kydex sheath from Chattanooga Leatherworks. It's a great sheath. Great retention both ways. It's freaking ambidextrous, like I just showed you. This version has 2-piece 3D machined G10 handles. The guards are machined out of 1/2-inch thick titanium because the guard interfaces with the handle inside the handle, and then we get a machined this cool jimping pattern into the back of the guard here for a extra grip right there.
The original had a somewhat shorter tang, correct?
They went all the way through.
Did they?
It had been pinned to a butt cap.
Oh, it was. Okay. Yeah. Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, and we have an injection molded version of this knife too with a threaded butt cap. This one is the machined one without the butt cap.
Okay.
It's a little lighter, and the balance is a little more forward because of that, which gives you a more of a hit. Because when the knife is about the tip and the weight is in the handle like a good dagger, then the tip is fast, but the striking power is less.
Sure.
This has a further forward, so that there's more kinetic energy in the blade. This one has a Cerakote pattern on the blade. It's an N690 blade. It's got a Cerakote pattern with camo on it. We've got them in solid black and this green tiger stripe, and stone washed, black and green handles.
Do you have those for sale on your site right now?
No, because they're on the table right now.
Okay.
We're going to send some home with you, so you'll have them.
Check them out at DLT.
DLT, because they're better at shipping knives than we are, because we are absent-minded about some things. And by we, I mostly mean me. But
it's easier for you to ship one box than 60 boxes,
so much
right?
easier.
When there's one box and one label, over half the time you can get it on the right one.
Most of the time.
Yeah.
Most of the time I do pretty good if there's only one thing to do. These knives are also very cool. They're also more utilitarian than I thought they'd be. There's a lot going on here. It's complicated in its simplicity.
Yeah.
I really like these knives.
There's no reason you couldn't use that around the campfire as an outdoor knife.
Sure.
You're right. It is a utilitarian knife. It's built as a military knife, obviously, but if you buy it because you like the history, you like the cool factor, you can still take it out camping or whatever and use it in a utilitarian fashion.
For sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
Les, in closing, talk to us real quickly about how long have you been making knives, and talk us through that timeline a little bit. On your social media, I see you've been doing a little bit of that, and for me, it was a bit of a walk down memory lane of, man, you over the years you've really made some bangers. Some of those customs have been just lights out.
So I started making knives in the early 90s when I was 12. I found a book in the library because we used to go to libraries back then. And I'm like, yeah, I can do that. Asked my dad if I could do it. He's like, yeah, sure, kid, whatever, go ahead. And I didn't know any better, so I spent 2 weeks cutting a piece of metal out of a circular saw blade with a hacksaw. But I didn't know hacksaw blades should be changed out. So I had one blade.
Oh, wow.
And 2 weeks to get that piece of metal cut out of that 6-inch circle saw blade. And that's when I knew I was too dumb to quit anything, really. So I made knives and progressed fairly quickly. Met a local guy in Wichita, where I'm from. Gary Bradburn has since passed away. He helped me get even more refined and get better. I used to do a lot of forging work back in those days. Then I joined the Marines in 97. And I didn't do a lot of work until about 04 then. Then I lived in Hawaii at that time, and I moved in inadvertently about 3 miles from Stan Fujisaka, who saw me at a knife show and took me under his wing and took pity on me and taught me how to make liner lock folding knives and taught me how to hollow grind. And he was a big help to me and a big influence. And he's also since passed away. And we miss both those guys a lot. But so then after I got out of the Marines, I moved to Texas, and I started. I had one job as a UXO mitigation contract. I made it about 6 weeks in a real job. I thought it was pretty good, so I decided to quit that and be a knife maker. And that was pretty much my business plan. Was I'm just going to stop this and be a knife maker. Might have used some more detail than that. Maybe a better plan would have worked out good. But since I'm too stupid to quit, I just kept grinding knives, and I got better at it. And I've been really well received from the beginning. Mm-hmm. People have been really good to me. I really appreciate everyone's support.
You have a very loyal fan base and following.
And I'm really grateful for that.
Yep.
Some of them have been more aggravating than others, but everyone's just trying to have a good time, and I appreciate everyone's support. And I hope to keep doing this a lot longer. So that's been 32 years since I sold my first knife. I think I'm better at it now. I definitely make a lot more of them than I did back in those days. So hopefully, Tom Mayo told me no one knew what they were doing for the first 100 knives. So I've got that knocked out at least.
Well, Les, it's always a pleasure. Thanks for stopping over.
Thanks for all your support too. I appreciate DLT and all my dealers, but you guys are awesome.
Awesome. Thanks so much.